I like how you just took my sunglasses.
Yo, these so cool, baby. But yeah, videos be cool and everything do it. I'm a big fan, so they say.
Thank you. You've been trying to get up here for a long time. Just we ain't get this opportunity in time because ever since I got closer to 100, I had to be like, hold on, let me sort that out first before I make another transition and another transition coming soon. Because is it the end of Erryting Kool or just the start of a new beginning? I mean, I can tweak something for real when I hit 100, but we gonna see how everything gonna be. So welcome to another episode of Erryting Kool.
Yeah, we don't want to do anything to scare your children. That's the last thing we want to do. We don't want to scare anybody.
The tourists come over to chill on the beach, but they don't come over the hill where we sleep. We got nightmares and they got fantasies. No sanity, it's just insanity. My mommy hoping nothing happens to me.
That's me back in the building again. It's been a long day. I had to, after so many years, my old faithful Samsung 9 Plus finally failed. And then I had to downgrade a little bit to this because I got in. Well, the story I had no iPhones was just like, finally I'm about to go team iPhone. But then I was like, but they was like, oh, we had an iPhone. So I needed a phone. And then I had so much stake placed in that phone that it's gonna take me like a day to just get all like my stuff, accounts, especially when you're a social media manager, things is just be like everything tied to the phone. I got all kind of like the security things. I got to change all that around. But nonetheless, we are. And I come to bring you another episode, even though I supposed to be on a hiatus, but these guys got me on a hiatus for a quick second before I take my, little break. But introducing to the show, please introduce yourself. Actually, we have a returning guest. Introduce yourself, sir.
Hello. My name is Rico Neely. You may also know me as Nuncy. I'm a Bahamian creative. I'm a chef, model. I dabble in music now. I write poetry, all of that and more. And we out.
You gave yourself a drum roll.
Big bots.
Big bats.
Yeah, bots, blast, either which one.
All right, I think we met at the Tenford Pop-Up Park back in 2020.
Yeah, Mo.
Yeah. Because I did that. Like I was thinking to myself, something. I know Nance you to come in the park in 2020.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, bro, this 2023, like all kind of things that change up. So then they about to change again. So like, it's good to have reoccurring guests and have like a catch up with some people that I want to actually bring back on to actually, it's been some time since the beginning and inception because you came on around, I think the 30s or, yeah, it had to have been the 30s because we celebrated 20-something was, I think, January 2020. Yeah, so you was in the 30s and now we in the 90s.
Ain't that something?
Yeah, so it's like, so it's like, all right, some time passed, some years passed, and things change. So, Batz, this is the first time you're on the show, so we always like to give our guests the opportunity to actually give us, we have a special segment called the Bahamian Word, Phrase, or Saying of the Day. And we always give that to our guests. So we extend that invitation to you.
All right. Well, the Bahamian word of the day is Chick Johnny.
Chick Churney. We never heard that before. Tell us what Chick Churney is.
Well, back in the Bahamian folklore,
The Bahamian folklore.
Johnny is a bird, half man, half bird, hybrid beast.
Okay. It's like, well, similar to, I forget what the Grecian word is. It's not chimera. Is it chimera? I don't know if it's a chimera. I probably have to look it up. But it's some word for the whole half humanoid, something. So yeah.
Yeah, that's a word.
I can't remember what the word is on the top of my head. So chick churney. For the international audience, where does the chick churney derive from and the whole lore?
Andres, I believe.
That's correct.
Andres, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know why? What do they consider a chick churney now today? Or what is it based off?
No. Oh, no.
It's based off the buzzards. That, you ever been to Andres? When the last time you been to Andres?
Yeah, I ain't never been, I ain't like.
All right, you go to Andres, you're going to see these big buzzards flying up in the air. And they basically call them the rats of the sky. Because you would see like a 6 foot... you would see a 6 foot bird. You in nighttime, you see this big bird standing on your garbage, and you be like, "Hold on now."
They be looking like eagles.
like literally, like
you know what this do?
yeah, like it's like they're huge. So they be like, "Yo, that's the chick churney."
Oh, she was off.
Yeah, like because I learned that when I went to Andres, I think 2018 for a shoot. And it was like, watching for the buzzards. And you just see these big, looking like ravens,
Oh, shoot.
flying in the sky. You be like, what the hell is that?
No,
And it's like, but they stay the rats of the sky. They be digging in the garbage.
They feel like pot cake.
Oh, wow.
We talk.
Yeah, like they run like pot cake.
With wings, okay.
Yeah, like with wings. So, well, if you ever in Andres, don't go outside by yourself. If you see this long dark shadow standing by the garbage, turn back around.
That's a vibe. When I was younger, they used to say, like if you were rude, the chick churney would come to your window and they'd take you into the pine forest so you'd never be seen again.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
These stories, these folklore that we need to keep.
Yeah, so like if you go, it's a part Andres called Batz Bey, where the Indians from Florida came down when they was trying to escape during the, I guess, I say Civil War to, independence, American independence and Civil War age when the U.S. government turned on a lot of the Indian people and trying to run them throughout the different like plantations and things. Not plantations, they call them reserves. Is it reserves? Yeah, it's reserves. And then because when the inception of the U.S. wasn't always the whole thing. It was certain parts, like they own like the northeastern coast. But like Florida was owned by France and Spain at the time. Then you had the Louisiana Purchase. Then you had the whole Wild Wild West, which was a part of Mexico. So it wasn't the whole landmass that you know today. So, at the entrance of Batz Bey, they call it God's Spot. And it's really God's Spot because you drive through there. I remember one time, me and my boy, we driving 20 minutes and we ain't say a house yet. Because the people, like, they sell the food inside and they like, oh, you need to come and visit us in Batz Bey. It's like, all right, let's go check this out. We driving there and say, bro, let's turn back. Because I like going over this dirt road and I ain't seeing nothing, bro. But at the entrance of Batz Bey, they have like a statue of one of them buzzards or, the chick churneys or whatever.
What is this?
Like, yeah. So,
What? Oh, juice.
Yeah. The outer islands, the mysteries, and
That's
all
beautiful.
the different law.
Yeah.
So, let's get into what we're talking about today. And Nunce, what brings you back to the show?
A lot has happened since we last spoke. A lot of progress. When we last spoke, we were really speaking about F Love and Give Me Hate.
Yeah, and you put that out like 2 years later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I just dropped my mixtape this February, audiobook mixtape. So it was 5 featured pieces of my poetry and then musical intermissions in between. Okay. And so I really been exploring, the creative scene, especially within, the Bahamian diaspora over in New York with my newest event, that being Taste the Islands, where quite honestly, I needed a space where I'm able to share my music. Because I had to figure that part out.
I want to ask you a question. Do you know the history or why a lot of Bahamians in New York?
No. Enlighten me.
This guy.
So I've been told, like, you know, when the Bahamas gained independence, a lot of Bahamians fled to New York because they was afraid of what an independent Bahamas could look like. So, because I base a lot of the history on how I developed my character Spider-Man. And like how, okay, what the hell is Spider-Man doing in the Bahamas? Well, he has his family connection to New York because of this whole situation. So it was a lot of mass exodus during that time to New York, to where when Lyndon finally became prime minister, he used to take trips up there to get Bahamians to come back. So like that's how extensive that little history is, and a lot of people don't really know that, but it's there. And then, you know, when you get deeper into, like, not everybody was confident in the whole independence and a black man taking over, including blacks themselves. It's not as easy as history might reflect on, because it's a big responsibility taking over a country full of thousands of people, and then not only running the country, but you have to create infrastructure and generate revenue to keep everything sustained.
Yeah.
But you still want to implement change, but you don't want to rock the boat too much to where you can sink.
That's a word.
So like, you know, so that's a little tidbit right there.
Yo, that's something to think. That's what we came from to like how we are now. You know, where.
And I heard this from Lady Penland's mouth herself. Like,
oh yeah.
Like literally, I was in an interview. She's saying, like, when we took over, we had a lot to do. You know, like we had to make road, we had to build school, and it's like she was just going over like the weight of the situation, and we don't really think about that in that perspective or whatever. But it's like, yeah, if you was trying to, system is already built, and you saying, "But I would take myself from the system." Yeah, that sounds good, but when it's there and they pull all them resources away, you gotta go figure it out.
Real talk.
Yeah, so like, you know.
No, that's something. That's interesting.
So like that. So a lot of times, like, you talk to a lot of people who used to work in Ministry of Tourism. Like one of my old bosses, he told me, like, you know, when he first came out of school, like, I used to be traveling with Lyndon, preparing presentations, boom, 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 boom. He's going back, not only pitching the country to the world, but those Bahamians that left, hey man, everything cool, bro. You could come back. And then I've met other Bahamians that who are of the diaspora, who are family in New York, who was a part of that group. Yeah. And they've been living in New York and upstate for the last 50 years, but they still got ties there. So like, yeah, like that go deep.
Real deep, for real. I didn't know that. Yeah. I didn't know. That's good to know.
Yeah. So like, you know, the more you know.
But I have a question. So where could people find all this information if they don't have access to like Lady Finland or like?
It's not properly documented, and that's why I do this. Because it's like people don't know these truths and things like it ain't no, like, you could dig it up and like you would have to piece it together, but there's nothing, no documentation to say this is what it is.
Real.
Or whatever. It would be like, okay, what was the feeling around independence? Then you would have to go into, was there a mass exodus of Bahamians before independence? And then you would have to tie it in, and you would have to have oral historians and have these conversations with people to say, like, if you could find someone, you could find someone in their 60s or 70s, go ask them why, okay, yes, I'm Bahamian, but I've been living in the United States for 50 plus years or whatever. How y'all get it? And then you start putting two and two together.
No, that's real talk.
Yeah.
That's real talk. Yeah. So what could we do with our generation to fix it, honestly? You know?
I mean, it's just traveling, bro. Like, literally, right? I went to DC a couple of weeks ago, and I went to BlurredCon, and I saw this girl. She was dressed up in like a Rock Lee cosplay. That's they paid like a Rock Lee cosplay, taking a picture of her. Boom, boom, boom. We follow each other.
Yeah.
Then I put a picture on my story. And we had it was a Bahamian event. We had all us, group us, you know, have the Bahamian flag, boom, boom, boom. And then she was like, oh, I didn't know we had a Bahamian meetup at BlurredCon. I was like, oh, you Bahamian? And she was like, yeah, like my dad's been, I literally left BlurredCon to come back to the Bahamas to celebrate independence. Like, she left the Sunday. We were still there, but she left that Sunday. But like, she is a whole working lawyer in DC, her father is the Bahamian descent. You know, her mother is American. And she there. It's been other times I travel other places. You connect the people to where their grandparents are Bahamian. They like second or third generation descent. But it ain't no thing that sort of clocking everybody together. It's Bahamians everywhere.
Nah, that's real talk.
Yeah.
That's real talk. And me being in New York, I experienced a lot of that. Whereas, like, you have people who identify as Bahamians, but they perhaps never been to the Bahamas. But I mean, when you compare, I guess, the Bahamian community to, let's say, the Jamaican community, the Haitian community, the Trinidadian community, you know, we don't have spaces for us. We don't have places where I'm in New York in particular, and I want to find Bahamian food. I can't find Bahamian food unless, you know, I find Taste Islands. And for me, it's just like, let's say I didn't create Taste Islands. There was this one spot called Le Bon Hut. They've since like closed and moved. So it's
So
like,
it ain't no general Caribbean sports, or when they say Caribbean, it's only like Trinidadian and Jamaican food.
they get Caribbean sports. You get the Jamaicans, the Haitians, the Trinidadians. You don't get Bahamian sport. They get one sport. I ain't got no name, but they have some stuff they say is Bahamian food. We ain't no Bahamian food. Ain't Bahamian food.
Oh, that's
food.
like no, but just like some of my cousins, right? My uncle, my dad's godfather, and his uncle, which is my grandfather. Like, he left the Bahamas in the 60s and moved to Florida. And then his kids all over the U.S. And, like, you know, a couple of years ago, I ran into them and chatted for a whole day with them.
Yeah.
You know, they, in their 50s and 60s, like, that's his kids. Like, it's because my uncle Boxer would have been probably, like, 96, 97 now. So, I'm interacting with his kids, who was, like, my uncles and aunties or whatever. And then they have kids around my age, and their kids already got kids.
Yeah.
Or whatever. And they like, man, you look like just like Buckshot. They from, you know, they Floridians, but they live in North Carolina, South Carolina. My Uncle Joe, he's a whole drill sergeant. So like, you know, they talk to me and they like, you know, they vibe with the island. You know, they made me some comforters, like it flat like a fine cake, and I was like, we know this ain't a real thing, and it's like, man, I can let you slide, you know.
Yeah.
But you know. But you understand, at least as an attempt. But, you know, I said it to say, it's like, you would be surprised, even though people far removed, they still have a close touch. Like, they might have never lived in the Bahamas in their 50s and 60s, but they cool with my cousin Sonny, who owns Sunshine Auto.
Yeah.
So it's like, again,
No, I mean,
tight ties.
Yeah, that's cool and everything, but that, for me, what I'm meaning, like, what matters most to me, well, not most, but what matters to me is, like, on a commercial level, you know, on, you know, on a social level even. It's like, if I'm a Jamaican, you have things like BRT Weekend, whereas they're really like showcasing Jamaican artists and Jamaican cultures and like cultures throughout the Caribbean. Because I went there back in 2000 and if it's 2023, maybe
BRT Weekend is in New York or in Jamaica?
They have it over. They have one in Jamaica. They have one
because I heard about, I'd seen the one in Jamaica.
Yeah, it'd be different places, but I went to the one in Atlantic City.
Okay.
Big crazy. So you pay one set price, you could drink all day, you eat all day, and they have like different cuisines from throughout the Caribbean, but you don't have the Bahamas, right? And I was mad about that.
I all the Caribbean festivals I go to, they don't really talk about the Bahamas like that. Like, and I just from like almost 10 years, and I noticed that from day one. I was like, I wonder why that's like. But go ahead.
Real. We don't have a set community. Like, if I want to go to a Jamaican spot where I want to hear Jamaican music, hear Jamaican accent, talk to other people, whereas you might have never been to Jamaica before, but you have relatives in Jamaica, you're able to share your experience for whatever it is, or other people's experiences. You're able to do that. I can't do that as a Bahamian. You know, so that's why I created Taste Islands, because I was in a position where people would ask me, yo, where could I find Bahamian food? Where could I hear Bahamian music? Where could I find Bahamian people?
So Taste Islands is a restaurant?
No, Taste Islands. Taste Islands really is a pop-up.
Okay,
it's what it really is.
Okay.
So we don't have a set location. We go throughout New York. I've hosted at Basquiat's Bottle in Brooklyn. Then I moved over to Speakeasy in Harlem, room 623. Then moved over to Alvin and Friends in New Rochelle. And then I would like rent spaces. So I hosted a pop-up for New Year's. For Independence Day over in Brooklyn, and then in September, I'm hosting a party in the backyard theme event. So again, in Brooklyn. So really just like finding a space, because currently I'm the only one. And from a business perspective, oh, that's beautiful. But, you know, in like the larger scheme of things, why is that? Why am I the only one? I mean, you have the Bahamian American Association. They do their thing, but it isn't like a monthly thing. There isn't anything for Bahamians. I want to have Bahamian music. I want to eat Bahamian food. I want to be able to share my Bahamian experience with, you know, other Bahamians, because it gets frustrating, you know?
You know what it is?
People don't get it.
And I spoke with, shout out to Brandon LaFleur, my boy from Atlanta, the leader of Atlanta Junkanoo Group. We spoke about this in 2019, about how when Bahamians travel and live in the next place, they assimilate. They don't ever stand out. So you might find a lot of Bahamians and they connect, because this is the same thing that happened in Canada and happened in other places too. They there, but they went in intentions to fuse into society, not to really stand out, and only bring out their flag when buddy them going to the Olympic qualifiers, or Shawnee or Stephen Gardner about to win a gold medal in the Olympics. Or whatever. That's the only thing they pulling up the colors, or obviously Independence Day, because you saw the V Alpha Grey light up the Niagara Falls in Bahamian colors. Or they had this big festival in Ottawa. But the 10th or the week of the 10th, or the week before, week after the 10th, shouldn't be the only time that this expression of Bahamianness should be featured. And that's the sad part about it.
But that makes me question a thing, because it's something about us Bahamians, whereas it's like, and I've heard a number of people say this, and it makes me feel away, because it's like, Bahamians wouldn't, this is the statement, Bahamians are not going to support another Bahamian truly until, it's popular to support them.
Yeah.
Why is that? Why is that? And that goes to when people go stateside and you only been there like 3 days, all of a sudden you have an American accent. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, that's like, that shows that there's no identity. You don't know who you are. Like, why? That's crazy. Why do you think that is?
No, but I've heard, Leslie Miller, the podcast. He said this in front of me yesterday. Like, he was like, Bahamians are easily influenced. Like, even before we even go there to be even easily influenced, we're already easily influenced here. To where it's a good and bad thing that we assimilate so many different factors of different cultures. So if that's something that we're already doing while on island, it ain't no surprise that it's a full thing when we leave. And because there isn't no sense of identity from the start, then you easily can be taken over by any other identity. That's why you would have even some of, and I don't want to call it their name or whatever, but certain man them grew up here their whole life, or that's all they know. They reject it. But then when the whole world hate on them, they quick to pick it back up. And then when they finally feel the love, now it's 2-4-2 to the world.
Good point.
So it's always like, okay, you ain't really have to put it on this twang or whatever to be understood. You just enunciate your words clearly and pointedly. If it has an accent, it is what it is. This way from. It's a reflection of the culture I'm from, but that doesn't say, okay, that I'm unintelligent or I have to speak like you to be accepted.
Wow.
Or whatever. Just accept me for how I am. And then, it's this thing. I mean, I think it's being better now to where now we're embracing, like, let's say, rake and scrape music. Because the biggest song in the Bahamas was a rake and scrape song this past summer. Or whatever. Like, So it ain't like, I think we're coming around. We thought we was going to lose it because our generation is more of appreciation of, okay, we can't be the same. We have to be different. And everybody is embracing individuality, just across the board everywhere. So it's like, okay, yeah, we ain't going for what's cool. We're trying to make what's cool. So like, to the whole African continent with this whole Afro beats wave, or Latin America with the whole Latin trap sound. They pushed their sound until now you having everybody wanting to be hip hop, right? Now you having hip hop historians and people participating in that culture saying labels are not prioritizing Afro beats and Latin trap artists over the hip hop artists.
Yeah, you.
So
I see that too.
So why is that? Because okay, they just saw, okay, everybody loved this. Well, forget that. I have something original, ain't nobody seen it, and we gonna push this, we gonna ride this. And it ain't gonna be instant, because every time when we, and local artists have done this too, they try to do the R&B, whatever sound. Notice that, bro, so much people trying to do this sound, let me make this sound, but ain't nobody on. Mm-hmm. And yeah, people ain't gonna recognize it, but I'm gonna sound distinct when my music come on.
Yes.
So everybody's been following that sort of pattern in other areas too. I might as well, instead of trying to ride the hype, let me create something new. Mm-hmm. And that's why I feel now is the perfect time to do Taste of the Islands, because yes, the older generation had this idea of we have to assimilate, but now we have the mindset which we have to stick out, because it can't be, if 50 people doing the same thing, you only eat so much. But if I eat the only person over here, I can eat everything. I can have the whole pie. I gotta and then not gatekeeping the pie, because now if other people come around, okay, it's enough pie to go around.
Real talk. And if it's the first, you can stay the original. You know what I'm saying? But even more, I feel like, let's go back to slavery times, you know, because this really my brain like just going.
Yeah.
Because, you know, back when, oh Lord, I don't want to say the wrong thing, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, back in the day, I think it was the king, the queen, someone from England came over, and they would bring in people to...
Where exactly?
This before independence.
You talking about during slavery time, or you talking about the colonial era?
I guess the colonial era. So...
Are you talking about in the Bahamas?
Mm-hmm, okay. In the Bahamas. Whereas, you know, when you look historically, right, this is more like through conversation where I'm getting this information from. Whereas, you know, Bahamians have never been placed in leadership roles and positions back in the day, because, you know, you'd have these, I guess, police officers coming from England. They would bring in police officers from Jamaica, and they'd put them into the leadership roles. And, you know, you move on, and now here comes today, and you look at how, you know, we market the Bahamas. And, you know, I understand, okay, you know, mostly Americans come to the Bahamas, and, you know, let's get into the conversation of, you know...
certain types of Americans.
I agree, but how is the Bahamas portrayed on the world stage? You don't see Bahamians in ads showcasing the Bahamas. You see white tourists, is what you see.
Because it's a certain type of Americans that they're catering to.
I understand that, but at the same time, that serves its purpose, and it's working. Don't get me wrong now.
Yeah.
However, you know, think about the people that actually live in the country, and they're going abroad, and they're seeing this big ad in Times Square.
I'm gonna enlighten you to that, though, because no, I enlighten you that, because I know for a fact certain big hotels try to change that narrative, and I guess you're still true with that. I know for a fact, because I worked with that marketing team, that they try to put more melanated people on different things. Mm-hmm. And the people still chose the other thing. They made a concerted effort not to show more diversity and to show not pasty skins or whatever the case may be, but more melanation. But it still was, okay, yeah, we like that, we enjoy that, we understand, but this is still the crowd that this kid is to. So tourism is marketed to the working class American. That's
I understand it, but I'm just using that as an example, as in, like, you know, where representation comes in.
So when the marketing, when it's marketed in the past, they may have changed it now as of 2017 to now, right? To where in the past it was to more so showcase be marketing to working class white Americans who save up, you know, that more right wing, who save up all their money all year to take their kids to the Bahamas. And we show you Negroes not protesting, but serving you. And you frolicking, going on the slides, dancing and rushing the jungle music, drinking pina colada, doing this on the beach, parasailing. That's the dream that they sell, and that's the dream that is being bought.
I mean, that's what you gotta do. But at the same time, regardless, we ain't talk about we ain't worried about the tourists in this conversation. We worry about us, the Bahamian people.
Yeah.
You know, the fact that we go stateside and then, you know, get all these Bahamians will be losing their heads. And I feel as though the thing that really is like tourism representation, it's how we're represented, how the Bahamas is sold, the Bahamian experience. And yes, it is being sold to a certain crowd, a certain audience. And again, yes, that does work. Ain't nothing wrong with that. But at the same time, what is being sold to us, the Bahamian people? You know, because
that we just a bunch of slaves and we only good enough to scrub toilets, bro.
But the thing is, historically, we've been very dependent individuals, dependent on the government, dependent on, like, you know, assistance, like, oh, I need. And I'm not saying that's everyone. That's not everyone. But for the environments that I've been in, for the conversations that I've had with, like, you know, a number of people, that has been my life experience. And that's just something that, you know, I guess I understand, but at the same time, I don't particularly agree that, like, I don't.
Do you know the history of tourism in the Bahamas?
Enlighten me.
Do you know started history the tourism model that we now know today, with other Caribbean islands first frowned upon, but they later adopted?
Who?
Sir Stafford Sands. And he's always Sir Stafford Sands created this model that everybody else have adopted. All right, we're going to sell to working white peoples in the U.S., in Canada. We're going to have the tourism model. We have the locals, you know, work, blah, 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 blah. So Lyndon tried to change it, but you only could change it so much because some people say how he approached it even made the people more lazy because he created this air of entitlement. But to where it's like, okay, everybody have to have a job or whatever the case may be. But what happened was, well, Sir Stafford, not only that, but even how Junkin was seen today, that's Sir Stafford's design. To where Sir Stafford was the one who came up and was like, because Junkin used to sporadically happen all over the island. And then it got shut down after the Burma riots for a period of time, and then got brought back like 42 to 48. And by the time it came back to Bay Street, it was in the 50s. So Stafford was the one that say, okay, we have a Junkanoo parade during the Utah season. And okay, we're going to market it like this. And boom, boom, boom. You see the locals. All this tourism design is Sir Stafford's design. So who is Sir Stafford? An oligarch or white man. So obviously, this system we been benefiting off of was designed by someone who looked like the people who being sold too.
Yeah.
So, you know, when you understand the origin of a thing and you understand, okay, success of governments, every time when they promise jobs, it's always building another hotel. Because they could say something different and they probably could do something different. But to the average mind, it ain't gonna resonate. Because they only wonder, oh, I can't pay my bills. I need something to do.
But see,
something to do, the same thing.
You know,
poisonous risk.
But that goes to, that's like what we were talking about on our way here. It's like a shift in perspective. I ain't saying tourism is like, you know, this big devil. No.
It is the big devil because it's modern day slavery, bro.
I keep real with you. At least for how we're like, how the Bahamas is running, it keeping us afloat. I mean, although I feel like we shouldn't really be so dependent on tourism, especially after COVID, you know, what that showed us. But my whole thing, you know, what I'm really trying to say is like, you know, us as the Bahamian people empowering us. Like tourism, they could do what they need to do to keep us afloat. You know, for us to be empowered the American dollar, for us to maintain our relevance.
And even that is a farce.
But, you know, to maintain our relevance, you know, on the global scene. But like, the Bahamians, like, shifting the perspective, like, what is being done for us to not feel like, oh, I'm a poor Bahamian, therefore I can't do, and I da 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 da. What resources are out there? What platforms are out there? Platforms like this where we're able to discuss, but on a commercial level, like on a regional and international level, whereas you see the true Bahamian experience, where you hear about the true Bahamian experience. You have it for Jamaica, you have it for Antigua and Barbuda, you have it for Barbados, you have it for all these different places. Why is it that we have to look outside of our country to find success and define that, that's crazy.
Because the mentality, bro, it's a gift and a curse that we live on islands, bro. Because I was thinking about this the other day. Bro, we live on an island 21/7. But that binds our view. Because we can't see past the 21/7.
But why is that? I can live.
No, but it's
in
an environment. Nah, there's some of us that, a lot of, a small group of us that can. But to say, I can say the government has totally done nothing to try to expand the minds of the people. They've done certain things. Because I've worked on certain campaigns like the Get Money Smart campaign in 2018, right? They had a whole year where the central bank was trying to spread financial literacy information. And I think that's something that should have been ongoing. That shouldn't have just been 1 year and then it fizzled out. Money needs to be pumped in that every year. Where they had a whole year where they was like, how you could save, how in 52 weeks you could save $1,000. By, okay, week 1 you put this aside. Week 2 you put this aside. Okay, what's the difference? What's a credit union? How to do this with this bank? What's this, that, and that? They was giving the same, like whole of 2018, the central bank did this. But ain't nobody really adopted that. You still progress like same old. Now, the point where the government should have corrected this is not that we fault them because they only did it. Well, they never did it. They did it at least once. But what they should have done was that information should have been pushed from 2018 until now. It should have never gone away at the end of 2018. Like that Get Money Smart should have been a forever campaign to where any news station or ad, hey, come save the money, boom, boom, boom. That's how you get this, that's how you get it. Because this is the information that needs to be preached. Plain people don't know about the Get Money Smart campaign. I remember because I worked on it, but
I never did.
Most people don't. Like you go on a Get Money Smart campaign, they show you kind of how to save $1,000 in a year, bro. Most Bahamians, 80% Bahamians don't even have $1,000 in their savings. But there was a campaign that showed you how you do it. But why it didn't resonate with the people?
Resources. Because I gotta go back home.
I gotta go back home and face reality in my environment. And then 2, they only did it once and stopped. Where there should be a continuous thing.
Like you trying to just like tangling meat in front of a dog,
Yeah.
Yeah, you do something cool, but take it away and never bring
since it back. Then, there was an election campaign before Get Money Smart in 2018, and there's an election campaign cycle that happened in 2021. All everybody was worried about was my MP getting this. I get couple dollars and some rum, and then a little contract to go cut grass and things like that. So, what I find out most what is wrong with our people is that it is our environments that sort of choke us. Because I was talking to a guy in the bank line yesterday. He was like, man, the banking industry changing things like that. I was like, and he was like, well, the banks, they trying to tighten up everything. You have customs where they have the exempt app. And I was like, all they doing is tightening up everything that should have been tight from the start. Yeah. All this gross negligence that have been happening for years. Now they trying to, you have NAB calling people, hunting people down for NAB payments. You got customs strict. I'm like, you being strict now, well, you should have been strict from the start. So you shouldn't have been slack for the start. You don't get tight when things tight. You should get tight when it was loose. So, you having these things tighten up now, but what a simple thing what people don't understand is, okay, you're saying, yo, man, you have these cyber criminals taking your money off your account. I was like, if you have a credit card and let's say someone steals your credit card information and start making expenditures on your credit card, that the bank will quickly track that person down, get that money back, and put it back on your credit card versus they steal the money from your debit card and you got to go through this long process. Why? Because the money on the credit card is the bank's money. The money on your debit card is your money. They can go fast with their money. They can just dry their foot with your money. So what makes sense? Hey, you might as well spend everything on your credit card and then just, pay off your payments everywhere because they can always go hard for their money because that's the money they loan you and they get their little interest off of that money. So, hey, put their money up. So when someone rob it or doing this cyber theft and things like that, they can go harder. So, but it's another thing like that the average person don't know. So, because you think debt is a bad thing, whereas people, you could sort of, I know this lady I work on the show where everything she takes out, like when she buys properties and things like that, she leveraged in the bank card, good rapport with the bank, and because she's continuously doing this, the bank willing to work with her and be like, all right, you.
Sorry, my bad.
The bank willing to every time when she ready to purchase something.
Okay. I'm gonna go and make a run and go and get it.
All right. You can lift up the right.
Oh.
Push it up.
Sorry, folks.
Only on Erryting Kool where the most random things happen.
No, I go.
Yeah.
I'm game. That sounds great.
Yeah. So she uses these things to leverage them, and then that's how she's able to get certain investments because the bank like, all right, well, we give you this mortgage, you make the payments, we know we can get our money back, you a safe bet. So now you looking like you balling out of control, but we in business together. But see, the average person ain't know that, bro. Like, these things the average person don't know. And it's just the lack of information. And then you might present it to them, but because of their environments, these decrepit environments to where you feel chokehold as to why you can't excel. You being a dreamer is because your whole family is a bunch of dreamers, bro.
I agree. I do agree.
So
I do agree.
You a product of your environment, bro.
I do, but my thing is like, okay, these same resources, why are they not as widely known throughout the Bahamas? Like why, what do we need to do, right? Like more action points. What do we need to do as an individual, right? Individual bodies for this information to be known by, the people that need to know, like correction, for this information to be translated in the right language for someone from, let's say Kemp Road, Elizabeth Estates, Baintown, to receive it in the same way as someone as, let's say, Lyford Key or where's that other place? Old Fort Bay.
I saw DBs. It has to be information disseminated into a language that people can relate to.
Exactly, because you can't sell the same. You could sell the same product to someone from the West to East the same way, but it has to be worded differently. It has to be packaged a little differently because people wouldn't be interested in it the same. Yeah, So what do we do as like, you being on these committees, you being on these boards and like really, planning these things, which are like great for the Bahamian people, really empowering us and pushing us to, a more progressive future, I would say. When you're inside these spaces, if you could say, right, how is like the translation of all of this information, being discussed? Even when you go back to the referendum, when they were discussing women being able to pass on citizenship to their children if they're married to a non-Bahamian male, and that's something that they still can't do. But yet, single Bahamian male
they just made changes to that. Wasn't that?
No, let me tell you what they made change too.
Okay.
They made a change that if you are a single Bahamian male and you decide to have a child with, let's say, a lady from Egypt, right, who is not a Bahamian, as long as my name is on that birth certificate and I am identified as the child of this father, that child is now a Bahamian. A Bahamian female can't do the same thing.
So they never they didn't make a change to the whole. Okay, if I'm a married Bahamian mother to a foreigner, I get past my citizenship.
No, the Bahamians voted no against it. And I found that to be kind of unfair because you have people in the box deciding on something that affected the people outside of the box. People inside the box cannot understand what happens to people outside of the box.
Facts.
So you have mothers out there crying because, mom, your child is not a Bahamian, so you have to go through an immigration process that might take 6 months. And if you're not, on top of it, it might just never happen.
Yeah.
You just give up on it. And then you have all these Bahamians kind of hate it, but you have all these Bahamians be like, oh, I don't need a Bahamian passport. That's fine. I get an American passport because they see more value in it. And then, again, it's like the lack of information. It's like, well, mom, these are the policies. We get that, right? But it's how are they understanding these things, How are we as the Bahamian people who have to make these decisions?
When it comes to a
democracy?
referendum, things got muddied. And again, because people are subjected to the environments, they thought they didn't trust the government and what was being proposed because they didn't want to feel liable of agreeing to something that they might later regret. But they were also, to that point, the government at any time can amend that policy. And actually, that's why I thought a minute, because that's what Lenny Kravitz would fall under. Because Lenny Kravitz's mother is a Bahamian, but because they changed the law, he had a whole ad in the newspaper saying, I'm now want to be naturalized as a Bahamian. And he's been living there for years. So I think they did change that recently. Because Lenny Kravitz was in that similar situation to where, okay, I'm born in the States. My mother is all Bahamian roots. I can prove it. But I think because of the law, he couldn't do nothing. But I think...
Wait, but was his mother married to a non-Bahamian?
I'm not sure.
Because if she was single during the time of his birth, he's a Bahamian.
Yeah, but he wasn't born here.
And that's fine, as long as your mother is a Bahamian and your mother is single, unmarried, I should say.
I think that was the point. Another point of contention to where it was like, okay, if you're a single mother and you have a foreign child, your child's father is foreign. I don't know if it's because if the child is born here versus in foreign.
No, it really boils down to if the mother is married or unmarried.
Okay, so it was always a case where if the mother was unmarried, no matter if she had the child here or in another country, as long as she is Bahamian, the child can be Bahamian.
As long as she's unmarried.
Okay, so it's the whole marriage situation.
And I've been to, again, I haven't read any of this in books. All of this is really more like word of mouth conversations.
Okay.
And, and that's the next thing, because it's like, I want to know more. I want to be able to have these conversations and speak with, undoubtable certainty, because I read inside this credible book. You know what I'm saying? I read this article, that sort of thing. And it's kind of like, for me, I don't know where to find these things. I go online and it's just like what you said earlier, you have to piece it together. It's like one big puzzle. I don't like that. But back in the day, so I've been told, back in the day during like piracy times, they were trying to, the government of the Bahamas during, I guess, Woodes Rogers era, they were trying to safeguard, I guess, Bahamian heritage.
Sovereignty.
Because, pirates would come to the Bahamas and this is like a safe haven for them, right? And so you'd have all these people from all these different places come to the Bahamas and, they would connect with the women. And all right, if you connect with the women,
that was happening even way after that, bro. Like, right, up until this day, that's why the men of the society strictly enforce that. But that's a conversation for another day.
Right, but in 2023, it's seen as a bit misogynistic because it thinks that if it worked back in the day, it mightn't work. You have to tweak it for today. You know what I mean?
Misogynistic in nature. That's why I say that's a like your men and days be like, yeah, we ain't want you, woman, giving our citizenship to no other foreign man because this the baby mama. But I also heard that's because they have that situation why a single Bahamian woman have more rights or whatever than a married Bahamian woman is because the whole sweethearting situation.
Interesting.
Yeah. So you want to have okay, yeah, if I import a foreign woman and I ain't married to her, she have a child for me. Yeah, I can always send her back and the child stay here. Or whatever. Or that, yeah, that's the safeguard. Like, yeah, you just can't kick because the child's tied to the mother, you know. So it's all, you know, that's always hearsay or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I think that, because that's what I think it comes from, to where it's like, yeah, we can't trust a woman to get screwed up because the man might screw it up and then infiltrate our society. And obviously the whole not homophobia. What's the word? Discrimination against other ethnic groups.
What, prejudice?
Not the prejudice. It's not nationalism. I can't remember the word at this point. But the whole, like, yeah, we ain't want them Haitian people, them Jamaican people. The Jamaican mind think they could take our woman and do this and that or whatever the case may be. And that's where really the word of that really stands from.
What is that word?
I try to remember.
I have a word in my head, but I don't. My thing is, I don't want to say it wrong. Xenophobia.
Xenophobia. That's it right there. So yeah, the xenophobia of, yo, we ain't want no foreign man they can take our woman, and because you think you would come here and you would get the same access and rights as me that been here. So it's like it's ego stroking. It's like, bro, ain't no other mind but to dominate me on my own land, you know. So that's where that comes from.
Real talk. And, you know, we call ourselves a Christian nation. And even, like, when you go into, I guess, the church scene, you have a lot of, even today, it was heavy back in the day, though. Even today, where it's like, oh, if you were a female preacher, if you are a female and you lead a church, a congregation, there is an uproar. You know, certain people are like, I'm not stepping foot into this church because they don't believe women should be in leadership roles and leadership positions. But, you know, my whole stance more is just like, you know, I just feel like there should be like a level of like equality on certain degrees, especially in, again, 2023, right? Where, you know, the global conversation is, you know, women want the same rights as men. And I could admit that certain things are a bit unfair, you know, when that I grew, like, up until today, I have been coached, I have been mentored by strong females, strong women, you know, and I have heard, you know, firsthand their struggles, whereas they'd walk into a room and the same way us as Black people, well, maybe not so much in the Bahamas, but outside of the Bahamas, where Black people would have to do 4 times as much just to get probably a quarter of what, you know, someone else might get. It's the same with a woman, you know, when in comparison to a man. So it's like, you know, you look in the Bible and you see certain things like how, you know, Lady Wisdom, there's somewhere in the Bible that wisdom spoke. And wisdom gave it, like, wisdom is identified as a female. Wisdom was beside God the Father, right? When he was designing the heavens and the earth, as I know it's a word that was used, she was his chief architect, where he consulted her. And when you look back at the Garden of Eden, you wonder why, you know, God didn't ever tell Eve, you know, you couldn't eat of the fruit of good and evil, but he told Adam that. You know, so it's like those are just certain things that make me wonder, make me think. That's more like on a religious, like on the more religious side of things. Even especially considering we do see ourselves as a Christian nation. And I've had a conversation with, you know, someone before, and I asked, why is it that, you know, going back to the same law, whereas if you are a Bahamian woman who is married to a non-Bahamian, you are not able to bear Bahamian children. And it was a conversation that was brought up in the newspaper about Shawnee Miller, because, you know, she's married to a non-Bahamian. Therefore, and she's our precious gem.
Yeah, I thought they would have had that rectified up by now, because they were saying that from 2014, and it's 2023, and she just had her first child.
Exactly, and is that child a Bahamian?
Well, technically, yeah. You know why I say technically yeah?
Because she had it in the Bahamas?
No, because Eric Gordon is now perceived as a Bahamian. And I can leave that right there. I always tell people, bro, don't mind it on them law books, you know. It's a matter if you got the money to change it, it can get changed, bro.
But why is that? And again, why is that? Why is that? I should be able to receive...
system of capitalism, bro.
That's messed up.
Because I know, like I say, I gotta check into the history of Lenny Kravitz. He just put in to be naturalized as a Bahamian citizen. People was questioning it, and I was like, I need y'all understand why he doing this. One, when he becomes a Bahamian citizen, I don't have to pay American taxes no more if I'm already living there. I've been living there as a permanent resident for X amount of time.
Yeah.
Two, I can now participate in the political process here. Three, I can now be appointed as an ambassador of the Bahamas. Therefore, I get diplomatic immunity. Now, when I travel, you can't search me. I get a red passport. And it can be easier for me to do because I come in with my millions from the U.S. So I can push my weight around easier in a smaller system. And this is the Bahamas. This ain't no regular digger. The Bahamas the name and brand comes with some prestige.
I agree.
So, you know, when I break down to people, they're like, oh, it makes sense now. This a play. Yeah.
So what do we do, right? And how are we able to put, you know, the generations that are coming after us, the younger Bahamians, where they're looking out and they're not seeing the things that they should see. They don't have the resources that I feel that they should have, you know, the information that they should have, financial literacy, or even, you know, the mere fact that just being able to, like, networking skills and knowing the importance of that. As simple as that.
They have to be taught, and it has to be, well, they have to, the information and examples have to be prevalent in their faces. Like a conversation I had where, you know, we are in the Caribbean region, but I was like, we don't like have widely soccer / football as a like heavy thing. And I was like, when someone asked it, I was like, yeah, because we've had a bunch of NBA players go to the league, like Bahamians go to the league. So little kids growing up seeing that wanted to go to the NBA, and it's just going to be worse now that you have actual NBA players playing on Team Bombers and possibly going to the Olympics. So the little 3-4 years, and they don't want to be soccer players, they can be wanting to be basketball players because they see Team Bahamas and Bahamians that talk like them in the Olympics, in the NBA. So they're going to aspire to what they already see. They already see a path.
No, that's real talk.
So
that's real talk.
That's the sphere of representation and influence. Because if I can see it, I can believe it. Now, when I hear and see it, it can be hard to figure it out. But if I see display on ESPN, I saying how it go,
real talk,
is a possibility I could do that.
Honestly.
And then if I can't get to the highest heights there's been others that have played professional basketball throughout the world, so I can make a living. I've seen it. It's been done multiple times. It wasn't just a flash in the pan. It's been replicated a bunch of times. So this don't feel like this is so out of reach. Now, let's say, for instance, you have a point where you have a bunch of Bahamian rappers and they blow it on MTV and all these things. Then everybody gonna want to be a rapper because they gonna be like, hold on, let me see it happen.
Real.
It ain't gonna be out of reach.
Real talk.
So, you know, Sidney Poitier, everybody want to be actor. You had a Bahamian that won an Emmy, so hold on, that's attainable.
That's real talk.
We know the story, we know how it can go or whatever. So, you know, you have to see it. So it has to be, we have to keep this information and representation front facing. And they gotta want it for themselves too.
Real talk. Because you could take the horse to water, but you can't force it.
Yeah, so if that fire ain't inside your heart, it ain't nothing but that.
Honestly.
So, yeah.
That's that part. That makes sense. So it's really like an individual responsibility.
Yeah.
You just gotta be the best version of yourself, and along the way, you inspire the people you're supposed to inspire and connect. To those people you need to connect to. But for those people, I feel like are in those positions. Simple as even like this platform, even whereas you're having these conversations. To one person, it mightn't seem like a big deal, but to others, this might be like a super thing.
Yeah.
They're coming from, your previous studio to even being there, even like me. It's just like watching the growth and following the progress, and being excited to see what's to come in the future. It's like, I don't know. I see more for the Bahamian people.
Yeah,
I see more
and then
for
see
us.
you can't get caught up in this part
Honestly.
of you wanted more for someone than they wanted more for themselves, bro. A lot of this happened. That has happened, and then the other caveat that's happened is people achieve something and then mash down everybody else. So it's those two things that we gotta avoid happening to where it's like, okay, we have to understand where everybody is. Those who want to come up a lot, like pull them up
Yeah.
and let them go or whatever. Like don't try to curate them, and those who don't, just leave them to me. Because when you start getting into this gatekeeping type of situation, it always be heavily detrimental when it comes to where you stifle certain people or you trying to push a narrative or agenda with other people where they're self-sabotaging. So it's like, okay, you have to sort of everybody line where they want to line and help who wants to be helped. I know when to pivot off of certain people that don't. And that's just straight across the board. Like no matter what the industry is or whatever the situation may be, again, it comes down because we don't really have no excuse no more, bro. We're saying Bahamians do everything.
Literally.
Like literally.
Shucks, even go to space.
Yeah.
Even that.
Yeah, so it's like, what is the excuse?
Honestly.
There ain't no more excuses. It's like, it's based on if you want to do it or not. Like, you even could say, okay, man, what's the biggest Bahamian YouTuber? You have Christian Adams and you have Tipsy Bartender. Like I say, the mold's already been broken. You had a Bahamian, like Christian Adams don't be on YouTube as he used to, but you literally saw this man make social media shake. I must mention on the Breakfast Club, the #1 radio station in the U.S.
We're talking about that.
It's like, bro, it's been done. You have clear paths on getting to where you need to go. You have Bahamians be actors, Bahamians be scientists. You have Bahamians go into different sports. We've done it all. Now, what's the excuse? There is none. It ain't like 30, 40 years ago. We in the year 50. There's no more excuses. You don't have it because you don't want it for yourself.
I agree. Hold on. Okay, so my thing now is like, let's speak to that Bahamian child or that Bahamian teen, even an adult, whereas, perhaps they may want it, but they don't know how to get it. They might be battling discouragement, a little bit of depression, or, they're in an environment that just doesn't see it for them. I mean, they ain't never, like...
No, a lot of people are in environments. I was part of the environment, but it's like you try to... What I had to do is try to get tidbits of information in different places. Yeah, people say get a mentor, but sometimes you don't be that fortunate. I always say to myself, I never had a mentor. I had to figure it out to myself, but that ain't something that I really be bragging about because it was like, if I had some direction, certain things, it wouldn't take me as long to do certain things, and then I could have pivot sooner or at least have a little bit more guidance versus trying to figure everything out on myself. But yeah, try to find people willing to mentor you in certain career paths or pathways, then knowing when to deviate from your mentor. Because sometimes mentorship and these mentors can stifle you when it's time to transition.
Real talk.
Knowing who to get mentoring from. But again, it has to be the belief within. It has to be the fire and desire in your belly to say, this is what I want to do and no one can stop me. And then just, take it one step at a time. It ain't happen all at once.
Real talk. And even more, because that's very important, depending on who's mentoring you and, having that dependency on that mentor, like, if this person isn't around, or if this person is in there for
Or
me
they
to
don't
get
say
their
yes to
opinion,
something.
then it's like, it defeats the purpose. Yeah, that's a bit toxic, honestly. That's a toxic, or that's a toxic arrangement. But I feel like even for me, before I had, a Chef Rosemary, a Chef Bonamy, all of these different people, it was me online following Ben Carson and Miles Monroe, Oprah Winfrey, and just hearing their stories. And, even Steve Harvey, whereas, I have like this virtual form of, motivation, whereas I'm hearing things I'm not hearing in my environment. I am seeing these people accomplish things. And even something we discussed the first time I was on the show, whereas I kind of hated the fact that I had to look outside of the Bahamas to find like this definition of success. And so the thing is, literally everything you just said, you gotta want it for yourself. If you can't see it for yourself, write it down and vision, like, hear it, right? If you can't see it, hear it. If you can't hear it, just change your environment. Like, try to put yourself in spaces whereas you are a bit delusional. The people I'm gonna talk about you, they could say, your head's in the clouds. These things ain't gonna never happen. You've never seen a Bahamian do X, Y, and Z, even though they're Bahamians.
Bro, don't listen to people that
things.
say, you never seen a Bahamian do this, bro. Because I've done things that Bahamians have never done for 4, 5, 6 times.
I know that's right. Real talk. Real talk.
And it's like, it ain't as hard as it might think for us, but when you start moving and grooving, bro, if the path is in their trail, blaze the path.
Exactly. Be the pioneer.
Yeah.
Why not? Honestly.
Like, it be hard, I can tell you no lie. But it can be worth it in the end. Because people are going to respect it. And now you might not see the full fruits of someone who might come behind you, but just take pride in knowing that you kick that door down to make a way for others.
Real talk. Niggas, you could be restless.
I gotta start. Might as well start with you.
I agree. Because shucks, the same people who be saying, those things like, you don't see Bahamian do it, all of these different things. Those are the thoughts that conquered down. Right. And they are living a life of, I guess they're settling, after being so restless after a point. And shucks, instruction, like manual as to how to live life, what to do here. I figure, shucks, we could struggle in any way. I rather choose my struggle.
You might as well bet on yourself, bro.
Exactly. So
because you don't ever want life to live. So why I can live life to where I'm worrying about what other people say, or I take it your fear. That's your fear. I ain't got nothing to do with me, bro.
Real talk.
So I taking your fear and what you projecting onto me, and I must live within that because you had this fear. Like, no, bro.
Honestly, don't be afraid to break the box. Real. Shatter the glass ceiling. Expand the minds of the people around you by expanding your own mind. That is facts. Go on the trip. You ain't got to have all the money. Just do it. Take one step at a time. If you want to open up a restaurant with 30 people and you feel like you need to have expansive knowledge on all of these different things, just start with what you get. Just start with where you're at now and just do what you need to do to get to where you need to get, to meet who you need to meet, and, be who you gotta be ultimately at the end of the day. Real talk. And stay motivated. And educate yourself.
Most definitely.
Real talk.
Most definitely. And then, like I say, it comes reward, and don't let nobody, clown you because you doing it the long and hard way. It can benefit later in the day. You can be proud of yourself because when you, like I say, that final moment when you on this earth, you're going to look back and say, babe, at least I did it my way. Like the John Travolta, the Frank Sinatra Jr. song. I love that song.
Real talk. I want to, never mind.
But what was the last final remarks that you would like to leave us with? Now, so what you got next? Oh, you didn't even box it on. You always supposed to talk about the creative collaboration.
Real talk. Well, me and Bots, we've been chatting for a very long time. I've been trying to get Bots to come out to one of my Taste the Islands events to perform, but logistics, we gotta figure that part out. But we're actually working on a project. It's a Bahamian reimagining of the Addams Family. I hope I'm not speaking too early ahead of time, but we're doing that. I don't know how much I could say, but very exciting projects, and it's really just about putting Bahamian creatives on the forefront, putting us on an international stage, and really just again showing younger versions of ourselves, the younger version of Bots, the younger version of me, that guess what, you could do it. You could put yourself out there, and you could be connected to the right set of people, and you could do the things you perhaps thought you never could have done in the past. Man, look at you now. Mm-hmm. But final remarks though, no matter where you are in life, no matter where you may it be financially, I guess socioeconomically, all of these different factors, regardless of all of that, if it's something you want to do, just do it. And I've been the same line I've been preaching my entire life. And that's something that has been preached to me, so I'm just passing it on. Don't ever be afraid of people that are, I guess, more experienced than you. It's natural, I guess, to feel, I guess you could be intimidated, but don't allow that to block you from, I guess, learning something that you perhaps would have never learned before, because it's like, oh, I don't want to work with a person because, I don't know, they make you feel weird. Embrace your emotions, embrace the ugly, embrace the beautiful, discuss it. And if you don't have anyone to discuss it with, do simple things as simple as open up your voice memo, talk to yourself, talk about whatever problems it is you're feeling, give your emotions a name, right? Understand what it is. If it's something that you could fix, what could you do to fix it? If it's something that you can't do anything about, ride out the emotion. But throughout it all, become your best friend. Try to understand you, because once you understand you, you understand the people around you. And, be the best version of yourself, ultimately. Try to be your best friend. And that's the only way you really could do it. At least that's what I've found.
I mean, that's all you have, bro. All you have is you. And
yes.
That's why you gotta bet on yourself all the time. But thank you all again for coming through. Batz he had his first opportunity to come on the show. And my boy Dip. But thanks again for coming through, making this episode 95. 5 more to go on this road to 100.
Yes,
you can do something. I know what I can do yet. I think I might stretch this out to get actually happen in a year or something. But we can see. But again, peace, love. Thanks again for popping up, Nuns, and having this great discussion. And we can see y'all later.
Yes.
Yeah, you see.